This week on Houston Newsmakers, Houston's police chief, Chief Montalvo, was named interim chief in February. Will that interim tag be removed to make her permanent chief? Is that what she wants? We'll talk about that and the HPD effort to cut down on auto pedestrian accidents. The story of the Chinkapin Preparatory School, 47 years old and one of the best kept secrets of academic success in Southeast Texas. We'll talk about why and how you can help it get even better. Well, you can expect thousands to come out in support of the 2016 March for Babies, the fight against prematurity, and your chance to help us help the tiniest babies survive.
From KPRC Channel 2, this is Houston Newsmakers with Khambrel Marshall.
That was February 18th when Martha Montalvo was elevated to the position of interim chief of the Houston Police Department. A 36-year veteran of HPD, Montalvo moved up from Chief of Staff for retiring Chief Charles McClellan into the interim position while a nationwide search is underway for a permanent chief. Good morning, Chief Montalvo. It's always good to see you.
Good morning.
So, the interim chief, how comfortable are you with that, and would you like that interim part to go away, interested in the full-time spot?
Well, obviously, I want to do whatever is best for the city, and so I do know going into this job that the mayor was going to do a national search. So I'm very comfortable with that, and hopefully at some point then I will be applying as well.
Well, certainly you know the department pretty well. You've kind of been there for quite some time.
Quite a long time, yes. I joined very young.
Yeah, of course you did. They've probably changed the rules since then to allow you to come in. But it seems to me that you're an American success story. You came here from Ecuador with your family. You were 5 years old. You didn't speak the language. And you were able to go ahead. Now this seems like it's ready to be made into a movie. It's really that great story of America, isn't it?
I think it is a success story, and I think this is what America is all about, which is opportunities, and that's why people come to this great country, for those opportunities, and that those kind of things can happen if you work hard and you set your goals and you do what you have to do to get ahead. Those opportunities are there.
You, at 18, you became a citizen. How soon after that did you decide to join the police department, or was that already in the works?
I had wanted to be a police officer very young. At a very young age, and as far as becoming an American citizen, I knew that this was my country. This is where my country of choice, where I wanted to be. So I had research, and I knew what I had to do to become an American citizen. I did that right away.
Now you're at the top of the HPD department. Chief McClellan, when he was here just before he retired, and he was very happy about that, by the way.
Yes, he was.
Talked about the need to get more officers. Is that still an issue, and do you have any flexibility in trying to solve some of that, or what's the process as far as that's going on?
Well, I'm very fortunate. The mayor has agreed to provide us with 5 classes for this next fiscal year.
Okay.
So I should be okay in terms of replacement of the retirements. We are an older department. The average age is about 42, 43 years of age for a Houston police officer.
Right.
And we're at that stage now where quite a few are retiring. We average about 200. Last year, we averaged about 250 officers.
So it is very important to get that young blood back in.
It's critical.
Right.
It's very critical.
Well, let's talk about March. You have the department for many years has called attention to the different things that go on, the annual March on Crime. You call attention to specific areas of concern. One of them is pedestrian safety. Why the heightened concern about that aspect of what's going on?
Well, I realized that there was an increase in pedestrian fatalities. We actually had 7 more this year than we did the same time last year. So about a 58% increase in fatalities. And what I wanted to inform the public about was that there are things they can do to protect themselves. So this would be an opportunity to make them aware that this was a problem, and also to educate them on how they could protect themselves.
We have some video of some of the kinds of bad situations pedestrians can get themselves into. The HPD provided these videos. I got to warn you that some of the images may be disturbing, but perhaps necessary to drive home the point about what not to do. And a lot of these tips are common sense, are they not?
Correct. They are. And I can't stress enough the requirement to be alert. Because you're a pedestrian, you have a false sense that you're safe, and you're not. You have to make sure that you're protected, that you are alert, and that you are cognizant that there are cars out there that may also not be as alert as he or she should be.
I want to make sure that you know that nobody was killed in that video. It looks ugly, but that's what it should do to get you to focus on that. Another focus, by the way, there's some video, your news conference when you announced this. We're going to put that on my website so people can go to that and get more information about that. But one of the things you also talked about was gun safety. And you said that's a third of the homes have guns in them, something like that? Was that the stat that I remember?
It was a third of homes do have guns in their homes.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, there have been examples of tragedies
mm-hmm.
with that issue. So if you are a responsible gun owner, get a gun lock, get a gun safe, especially if you have children. And even if you don't have children in the home, you're going to have friends, you're going to have visitors that do have children. Children are curious.
It's always a tragedy, but I had to imagine a police officer going to a scene where a child has accidentally shot himself or herself. It's got to be just one of the worst scenes that they can go up on, because it could have been avoided.
It could have been avoided, and you know, a lot of police officers were parents. So we see these innocent victims, and we want to make sure that the public is aware that with the responsibility of ownership comes education,
mm-hmm.
and you got to keep that weapon safe.
Again, common sense. Before I let you go, you were incident commander for a couple of other big events here in Houston back. The NBA and All-Star games were going on here. A lot of responsibility for HPD. NCAA was just this past weekend. How did we do?
We did fantastic. The individuals that came to the different venues, the different events, were very family-friendly. It was a good event. We had very few incidents. Mm-hmm. Most people were very responsible, very friendly. And I had a lot of feedback. I actually walked through the different venues. I met with some of the officers. I met with some of the citizens that were out there. And I had a lot of feedback as to how professional the police officers were.
Is this a tune-up for the Super Bowl, you think? I mean,
it's always a tune-up,
yeah.
Yes. And we've had the Super Bowl in the past, but you never let your guard down. You always prepare.
Mm-hmm.
And we are in the process of getting ready, and we will be most ready when the time comes.
More heightened levels of security as it relates to the Super Bowl than the Final Four, or are they about the same?
It's about the same.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in making sure that we have enough security, enough eyes and ears. But what I do want to get across is that we can't do it without the eyes and ears of the public.
Mm-hmm.
We need that information. See something, say something. And we did have information from citizens in regards even to the Final Four. Nothing, obviously, that came out of those events, mm-hmm. but it makes me feel good that we're getting that message across. We're all in this together, and we all have a responsibility to keep our city safe.
Well, it makes me feel good to see you in that position of interim chief. I look forward to the announcement of you being named a permanent chief, and we'll come back and do this again. How about it?
Sounds great.
Thank you, Chief. Good to see you again, as always. Congratulations on what's happened so far. Stay right there. Hey, just ahead, one of the great education success stories of our region. It's the Chinquapin Preparatory School. For more than 45 years, it's focused on educating the economically disadvantaged with amazing results. That's next when Houston Newsmakers continues. Welcome back to Houston Newsmakers and to the story about one of the great education success stories in the Houston area. Meet Dr. Laura Henry, the director of the Chinquapin Preparatory School, and Guadalupe Navarro, a graduate of Chinquapin and attorney and member of the Chinquapin Board of Trustees. Good morning to both of you. Am I saying that right, or should I have a little bit more of the Chinquapin?
You hear a lot of different ways. Chinquapin.
Okay, that's fine. What's the name from? It sounds Indian.
An oak tree. It actually is an Algonquin Indian word, but there's an oak tree that grows in East Texas that's a Chinquapin oak. It's very hardy and resilient, and it has burrs on it.
Okay, hardy and resilient seems to be kind of a theme for what goes on at your school. Talk about the elevator speech you give someone the Cliff Notes version of what Chinquapin experience is about.
Got it. Chinquapin was founded in 1969 by Bob Moore, who was he was the English department chair at St. John's School here in Houston, and he believed fervently that there were students in the barrios and ghettos of Houston who were just as smart as those of the wealthy elite that he was teaching, and he wanted to do something to provide them with an opportunity that in 1969 poor kids just didn't have. So he started a college preparatory school out actually in a bay house, and then several years later moved to our current location. A generous donation from the Brown Foundation got us going, and it just grew from there on. And our mission is to serve the able and motivated kids from poverty, and in order to give them a rigorous college prep education. And our motto is quid pro quo, something for something. So all of our students do chores every day. They pay a very small tuition on a sliding scale, and the rest of our operating costs are fundraised.
Guadalupe, how did you fall into that pattern? That student who was motivated, who wanted to get something, do something for something. How did you fall into that?
Well, I was lucky enough to have family members and neighbors who attended Chinquapin prior to me enrolling. And so I knew about Chinquapin since I was probably 7, 8 years old. My older cousins were attending. So when it came time for me to be of age, I was excited and I wanted to go to Chinquapin. And it's been a family tradition, not just my immediate family, cousins. My wife is a graduate of Chinquapin. Her brother is graduated from Chinquapin. Some of my very closest friends are all Chinquapin alums, and it's a special place.
Dr. Henry, it's a small school,
yes,
but it's a great big tradition, isn't it? Judging by what he said, that's exactly what it is. How many students are there?
We have 153 students right now. We admit 22 sixth graders every year, so we're 6 through 12.
So that's a selective process.
Very
How difficult
so.
is it for the young people to get in?
Well, we end up with about 200 applicants for what usually is about 35 to 40 spots once we look at filling spots in the other grades. And we look at grades, we look at teacher recommendations, we look at test scores, we interview. We invite the majority of our applicants to a summer session, which is a week long. We duplicate school as much as we can. They board with us because we are a 5-day-a-week boarding school. And it's a tryout session for them. And really we're looking for grit. We're looking for that resilience. We're looking for the hardy. The kid who's a 50th to 75th percentile in intellect, but is willing to put forth the work, that's a Chinquapin kid.
Is that you?
I worked hard. Yes, I definitely wasn't the #1 student in my class, but I worked hard, and Chinquapin taught you, and not only taught you, but it demanded of you to step up in leadership positions and push you in school.
How much of a credit do you give that experience at Chinquapin for your becoming an attorney?
A lot. I had a strong family home. I had parents who were immigrants from Mexico who went to the 2nd grade and 4th grade, and all they could do for me was provide me the love and the drive and the push and the support. Chinquapin did the rest. And now
it's a board, kids board there. I mean,
yes,
the boys do. And now you're
yes,
starting to see the girls there. So that's underway. You've
right,
broken ground, and it's going to be maybe January of next year,
right,
correct?
Right.
The thing I want to get to in the time we have left is success rate. What are the numbers concerning the kids who leave there? How many graduate? How many go to college? That's it.
Well, in order to graduate, they have to be accepted into a 4-year school.
Oh, that's part of the graduation process.
Yes. More than 85% of our graduates go on to graduate from a 4-year university. And 36% of them, like Lupe, go on to get a master's degree or higher. That's unheard of with kids from poverty. The national average is around 10%. So, you know, our SAT scores are 200 points higher than the state average. They get scholarships for money for college. So they not only go to, but they get through college. And they go on to be these productive members of our society who give back and who help break that cycle of poverty.
Well, I have had the opportunity to be a part of one of the graduation ceremonies or dinner toward the end of the year. Amazing. That's why we're here today. I want you to have an opportunity to know more about this school. It's in the Highlands, which is way up there. These kids get on the bus, and they're on the bus for a lot of time to get to those who aren't boarding there. It's Wallaceville Road. For more information, call the number 281-426-5551, or better yet, lots of information on the website. It's chinquapin.org. Very easy to remember. I'm going to put a link on my website as well in case you forget. So thank you for coming in. Dr. Henry, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Guadalupe Navarro.
Yes, sir.
Mr. lawyer.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
It's a great story.
Thanks
and
so much.
continued success to you. And hopefully you can figure out a way you might want to be a part of that success. Maybe send a check. You wouldn't mind that, would you?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right, we've got more coming up here. This is going to be a fabulous event. We've got 2 weeks to go for the March for Babies. It'll take over the U of H campus coming up on April 24th. We're going to raise millions for the fight to stop prematurity. We're going to meet a mom who experienced the heartbreak and the joy of delivering twins. That's next when Houston Newsmakers continues.
From KPRC Channel 2, this is Houston Newsmakers with Khambrel Marshall.
Smiling babies. They are a very welcome sight in neonatal intensive care unit at Texas Children's Hospital. Jonah Bryan weighed 1 pound 9 ounces at birth when delivered 16 weeks early. Let that sink in for a second. 1 pound 9 ounces at birth. His brother Austin weighed 1 ounce more but didn't survive. By the time Jonah got his ride home from the hospital, he'd spent 160 days in neonatal intensive care. More than 5 months of intensive care to get him healthy enough to come home. What a blessing and what a credit to the dedication of the caregivers and the research that made it happen. Morgan Bryan is Jonah's mom and is here this morning to talk about how important it is to support the March of Dimes and the March for Babies. And Anup Sharma is the chair of the March for Babies that will take place on April 24th. And in his spare time, he's also global CIO for GE Oil and Gas. Good morning to both of you. I say in your spare time because I know how consuming it is, but talk about how you must have felt on your way to the hospital at 16 weeks early.
We were clueless. We had had a pretty easy pregnancy up until that point. I had worked that day. I'm a teacher, and my water broke. And you know, surely you think this isn't happening, but you're in the moment. And we really didn't know much, which I think now is kind of a blessing, is that we were kind of thrown into this world that we didn't know existed. And the boys came, and they were so small, and my husband and I just felt a little helpless because we didn't know what to do, and we craved information. And luckily at Texas Children's, they really encourage you to be part of the team taking care of the children, and we started to learn more about medical stuff than we ever thought possible.
And now it's amazing because more children are able to survive because of the research of the March of Dimes and the prematurity effort that goes on. Mr. Sharma, what is your role as a chair of this event? What's the main focus that you're dealing with, what you're trying to get done?
So I think of it as the #1 cheerleader for moms like Morgan and babies, right? So the role of the chair is really to continue to get more people involved. You know, on the 24th you mentioned, we're going to have almost 40,000 people marching. And, you know, we moved to Houston as GE and our presence continues to grow. So we felt that by driving more of our, more education of our employees about the march, but really the mission of the March for Dimes and March for Babies is something that really resonates with our employees and our teams. So as the chair, my role is clearly to get GE people involved, but really one of the things we committed to the City of Houston and the March of Dimes was we want to get more businesses involved. So really becoming the cheerleader, getting them to folks to participate, create new teams, and really fundraise for this incredible mission.
Morgan, what are you looking forward to in the atmosphere of the 24th? The number of people are out there to support this event.
You know, this is our first walk, because this is the first year that Jonah's old enough and healthy enough and not attached to equipment to go do it. And we have learned so much about what the March of Dimes does and provides, and we are so grateful for everybody that takes part and fundraises. And I just think the more people that are aware, you know, the more we can learn, the better we can get, the more babies like Jonah can exist. So we're really excited to see everyone.
And I know we've got the pictures there. Everybody comes. It's such a family affair here. And I know you and your company, you have a large presence out there as well, correct?
Yes.
More than, I thought, what, 1,000?
Yeah, we're hoping to have more than 1,500 this year.
Okay.
So we're committing to increase. We had about 1,200 last year. You know, I think this, the excitement around families, but I heard your story for the first time at the kickoff event, and it is remarkable as you talk to people how many more families go through this challenge, right? 1 in 10 babies in Texas is premature. And in Houston itself, we've got great medical facilities, great resources, but what the March of Dimes does will bring a lot of value to families like yours. And I think that's what we love about a walk day like that.
Well, in a couple of minutes we have left, I want to take some pictures of, we have Jonah, who certainly a very happy kid, always, you know, that's really neat to see that. But other pictures of him and his his baby sister.
Yeah, that's
kind of neat.
Quinn, who she was born at 36 weeks and spent 10 days in the NICU, which really shows why 39 weeks, which is what the March of Dimes advocates for, is important, because one day in the NICU is one day too long. But yeah, he's doing great. She's doing great.
Well, my child was in NICU for a little bit too, so that's one of the reasons why we're involved as well. And here's a family. This is part of one of the family pictures you have too, showing there's a happy ending here, but you always remember his brother, correct?
Yeah, you can't not look and wonder what life would be like with two. And we're really grateful that we did have almost 2 months with Austin. We're grateful for the hospital and March of Dimes research that helped get us that time with him that we might not have otherwise had.
I want people to know about the march. So it's 2 events coming up, actually. In the Montgomery County March is on Saturday the 23rd at Woodlands Church. On the 24th, Sunday, that's where we'll be, U of H campus. Both of those events start at 9 o'clock. I think it's my 16th year I've been involved in it, so I'm really excited about doing it again. And Britta Merwin, my colleague, will join me as well to be a part of kicking that thing off. Hopefully you'll be able to come out and join us as well. It's going to be a fabulous event. And as we say, rain or shine for the babies, we'll be there. Morgan, congratulations with the babies that you have now and for being the ambassador family. Mr. Sharma, thank you for what you're doing as well. For those of you, we'll see you there on the morning of the 24th. Hopefully we'll be chock full to capacity. Coming up next, something next week to talk about. Here's a hint. Houston Community College. We'll be right back. Next week here on Houston Newsmakers, Houston Community College Chancellor Dr. Cesar Maldonado, the leader of one of the largest community colleges in the country, serving nearly 70,000 students a semester. If you'd like to see previous shows or get information on today's program, go to click2houston.com and under the news heading, click on Newsmakers. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you back here again next week.